The man who leaked photos, videos of his ex-girlfriend must now pay her $1.2 billion. Okay, think twice. Revenge porn, not the right thing. Texas woman identified by her initials only, DL, has been awarded $1.2 billion by a jury following a lawsuit against her ex, Marques Jamal Jackson, for subjecting her to years of harassment that included the dissemination of nude and intimate photos of her he'd collected without her knowledge. An important point, folks, because whether she consented or not, it's the wrong thing to do, but she didn't even know this was going on. Jackson obtained these photos by hacking into DL's home security system and accessing cameras in her family's home. Jezebel with the details on this one. So what went down here? DL's suit notes that over the course of her once loving, trusting relationship with Jackson, she shared passwords and login information from many of her accounts and her family's accounts with him. Jackson was able to access the security system of her mother's house to record her every move as the relationship soured. After their breakup, Jackson created numerous fake social media accounts to send DL's stolen photos to her acquaintances and loved ones at all hours of the day. One point, he emailed her student loan officer with a false claim that DL had taken a fraudulent loan, in an extreme example of how abusive partners perpetrate financial abuse. DL's suit says that as their relationship of 4 years began to deteriorate in 2020, sometime after Jackson lost his job and was living with DL and her family, he began collecting photos and videos to punish and harass her in the future without her knowledge. After they broke up in October 2021, Jackson began tormenting DL, creating a publicly accessible Dropbox folder of her photos, sharing the folder with a prominent pornography site, and then sharing links with her friends, family members, and coworkers. Quoting, "You will spend the rest of your life trying and failing to wipe yourself off the internet. Everyone you ever meet will hear the story and go looking. Happy hunting," he wrote to DL. In March 2022, according to her lawsuit, now in the wake of the verdict last week, DL's attorney, Bradford Gleib, told the Huffington Post on Wednesday that Jackson will spend the rest of his life trying and failing to wipe his financial debt clear. DL told Huffington Post that at varying points over the past few years, she tried pressing criminal charges, seeking a restraining order against Jackson, and tried to ask online platforms to take down her photos. But she said no one offered her real help. "There was a vivid moment that I felt there was no escape. I felt I was completely hopeless," DL recalled. "I felt no one would hear my plea for help." She also told the outlet she felt violated and disgusting and a great shame, and that these feelings only got worse as Jackson's harassment continued. Today, she's hopeful that the jury's verdict will help broaden knowledge on this type of abuse and collectively influence laws to better protect us in this digital age. 2016 study found 10 million Americans, about 1 in 25, have been victims of revenge porn. 48 states, including Texas, Washington, they have laws that explicitly prohibit revenge porn. But it's important to also note this can happen to anyone, even famous people. According to Business Insider, stars such as Jennifer Lawrence, Kate Upton, and others have also been targeted. Jacob Schiffer, another attorney representing DL, told the outlet he has hopes that people will pay attention to her case and they'll learn more about appropriate ways to talk about cyber sexual violence and exploitation, which can often be referred to as revenge porn. With this phrase, Schiffer said, you think of people who are agreeing to pornography when many victims like DL don't consent or sometimes even know they're being recorded or that their photos are being shared. So Ben, $1.2 billion is a huge judgment. He doesn't have the money, okay? He doesn't have the money. He didn't get it from the Saudis like Jared did, okay? But it does send a message here that this won't be tolerated. But it falls flat to me because even if he had the money, she still has to live with this. It's very painful. What's your reaction?
I agree. I think it's a very hefty fine. So at least if it's going to be only a financial penalty, he will be burdened with this for the rest of his life. I mean, there's not going to be able to make an extra dollar without having to turn it over to her. So at least there's that. But yeah, you're right. This should be a criminal penalty with jail time. It's the only way. I know I'm sounding today like some sort of sheriff that wants everybody locked up in the slammer, but when you are a horrible human being, you do it. I mean, 1 in 25 Americans, 4%, or my math might be off, but somewhere in that neighborhood, a huge percentage of Americans have had this happen to them. It's insane. The social contract, as you put it, Sharon, even if somebody consents to nude images or sexual images, the social contract is when that relationship goes sour, as they usually do, that is never, ever even thought about, seen by anybody. It is not something you hold as leverage. If you do, you are a bad human being. You straight up, and then to record somebody without their knowledge. I mean, I don't understand how it's not a criminal case. I don't understand how somebody being filmed without their consent is not an easy close and shut case. And I realize both closing and shutting are the same thing. So I don't know the phrase for that, but whatever locking and storing kind of case is what it should be.
I think you're exactly right. And my hope for DL is that she fully identifies that she is not to blame here. She is not a victim. And perhaps she won't be able to ever scrub these images from the internet, which I think is sick. I think internet companies should step up at some point and allow some kind of notice, something to go in where that it can be wiped. But perhaps those, as her perpetrator threatened, who will always see it, who will always run to it, and happy hunting, she may be able to at some point heal enough to look at this as a weeding out. Because any man or woman, any person who would torment someone with this, as you said, you're not a good person. It's a sick act. It's a very sick act. And like you said, it affects too many, Ben, because people should be allowed to do whatever they want. I don't care what people want to do in their bedroom or wherever, as long as you're not hurting me. She didn't consent to this. And the laws, I don't know why. Why do you think they haven't caught up in all states and been stronger with this? It's kind of like they just say, you shouldn't do this. The end.
I think it's still a vestige of, not even a vestige, because that implies the thing is gone, of just old school patriarchy. I still think that men are in charge in most of these places and in most of these positions of power. And so typically, historically, the images people have are from the female partner in a relationship, and the dudes don't think it's a big deal. And it's time that not only do we get far more women in these positions of power so that it's equal, or actually let's experience for some amount of time the scales tip the other way, but also we have a crisis of empathy. We need people in positions of power who are men to realize, all right, things are different now. We now have to embrace our partners and the other half of society, the 51% of our society, as equals who deserve everything that we get, even if they're not the ones that always get to make that law yet. We can do it on their behalf as human beings. We're all humans. We focus so much on the differences between people so we can feel siloed, instead of realizing we're all humans. We're all part of the same species. We're all on this weird planet trying to make sense of life. If we all were kinder to each other, there would be so much fewer problems. We'd have a much more coherent, balanced, and peaceful life. And my God, did I drop edibles during the break? Because I'm so sweet right now.
You are, it's lovely. Are your shows this sweet?
No.
Of course not.
They are not.
That's my kind of show. Well, yeah, as you said, we'll button it with it's sick, degenerate behavior. It is bad behavior.